The Roman economy, trade, taxes, and financial power. Trade. Trade was a vital aspect of the Roman economy, acting as a significant catalyst for the empire's prosperity, growth, and cultural exchange. The economic system of the Roman Empire was a complex and diverse one, and trade played a central role in its functionality and expansion. The intricacies of the Roman trade system were facilitated by several factors, including the establishment of a sophisticated road network, the strategic use of the Mediterranean Sea, and the era of relative peace and stability known as the Pax Romana. Before we proceed further, don't forget to subscribe to the Roman Chronicle. Let's get back to the video. The Romans were master engineers, and their roads, famous for their durability, straightness, and extensive reach, were integral to the empire's commercial success. These road networks, often constructed for military purposes, inadvertently served as a boon to trade. They connected the furthest corners of the empire, from the cold frontiers of Britain in the north to the deserts of Egypt to the south, and from the rocky landscapes of Spain in the west to the ancient civilizations of Persia in the east. The Roman roads allowed for the efficient transport of goods over long distances, making trade between disparate regions of the empire not just possible, but commonplace. The construction of roads was no small feat, requiring significant resources and labor. Still, their presence facilitated a level of connectivity that significantly enhanced the empire's capacity for trade. As we delve deeper into the Roman economy, we invite you to engage with us. Alongside the road network, the Mediterranean Sea served as a crucial artery of trade in the Roman Empire. Often referred to as Mare Nostrum, or Our Sea by the Romans, the Mediterranean was central to Roman identity and power. With its large navy and numerous well-positioned seaports, Rome efficiently exploited the sea for commerce. Goods could be transported by sea far more cheaply and in larger quantities than over land, and the proximity of numerous provinces to the Mediterranean coast made it a practical and efficient means of transport. The Mediterranean was not just a route for trade, however. It also played a significant role in Rome's cultural and economic integration. Goods, people, and ideas moved along these sea routes, contributing to the exchange and spread of cultures, philosophies, religions, and knowledge across different parts of the empire. The period of relative stability and peace, known as the Pax Romana, further bolstered the conditions necessary for thriving trade. This era, spanning from the reign of Augustus in the 1st century BCE to the death of Marcus Aurelius in 180 CE, was marked by minimal military expansion and general internal stability. The Pax Romana provided a safe environment for commerce to flourish. Traders and merchants could conduct their business with a reasonable assurance of safety, without the frequent disruptions of war or the threat of invasion. This stability, coupled with a standardized legal system and common currency, created a conducive environment for trade and economic growth. The Roman Empire was a hub of commercial activity, importing and exporting a wide array of goods. Fine pottery and glass were highly prized and were often imported from the eastern provinces. These goods, valued for their beauty and craftsmanship, found markets across the empire. Wine, another key commodity, was primarily produced in Gaul, modern-day France, and Italy, and was a staple of Roman diet and culture. Olive oil, an essential item in Roman cooking, lighting, and body care, was mainly produced in Spain and the provinces of North Africa. Spain, with its rich mineral resources, was a key supplier of silver, while Britain was known for its tin and iron. Egypt and North Africa, with their fertile lands nourished by the Nile and other river systems, were the empire's breadbaskets, producing the vast quantities of grain needed to feed the massive populations of Rome. The grain dole, a form of welfare system in the city of Rome, relied heavily on these imports. Slavery was another grim but significant part of the Roman economy. People from all corners of the empire and beyond could become slaves, taken as prisoners of war, born into slavery, or sold into it due to debt or poverty. All these goods, pottery, glass, wine, oil, metals, grain, and slaves, traveled along the trade routes facilitated by the Roman road network, the Mediterranean Sea, and the relative peace of the Pax Romana. However, this intricate system of trade also came with its challenges. One of the significant issues was the unequal distribution of wealth. Exacerbating social and economic inequalities, the vast majority of the population, particularly those in the countryside, lived at subsistence levels, with little opportunity to share in the wealth generated by trade. Taxation was another challenge associated with trade. Taxes on goods were a significant source of revenue for the Roman state, necessary to fund public works, the military, and the grain dole. However, these taxes could be a heavy burden for traders and merchants, and were often a source of resentment and tension. There was also a risk of corruption among tax collectors, further complicating the trade system. Piracy was a persistent problem, particularly in the Mediterranean. Despite the efforts of the Roman Navy to maintain control and protect trade routes, pirates were a constant threat, capable of disrupting trade and causing significant losses. Furthermore, the dependence on certain goods, particularly grain from Egypt and North Africa, made Rome vulnerable to changes in conditions in these regions. Unfavorable weather, political instability, or conflict could disrupt the grain supply, leading to food shortages and potential social unrest in Rome. It generated wealth, fostered cultural exchange, and helped to bind the vast and diverse empire together. The spread of goods, ideas, and people contributed to a shared Roman identity, even among the many different cultures and societies within the empire. Taxes. Taxes were an integral part of the economic structure of the Roman Empire. The system of taxation was complex, reflecting the diverse and expansive nature of the empire itself, and had far-reaching impacts on Roman society. In the provinces, tax collection was often overseen by Roman officials known as procurators. These were typically equestrian rank officials, appointed by the emperor, who managed the financial affairs of the province. They were responsible for assessing and collecting taxes and ensuring they were sent to Rome. These tax collectors would bid on contracts to collect taxes in a particular area. They paid an upfront sum to the state and then sought to recoup their investment, plus a profit, by collecting taxes from the local population. There were various types of taxes levied by the Roman state. The tributum soli, or land tax, was one of the most common forms of taxation. This tax was crucial in provinces like Egypt and North Africa, where fertile lands provided substantial agricultural revenue. Another significant tax was the tributum capitis, or poll tax. This was a tax on individuals levied based on their ability to pay. In the provinces, it was often a flat tax paid by every adult, regardless of their income or social status. However, Roman citizens, particularly those living in Italy, were often exempted from this tax. Customs duties, known as pattoria, were also an important source of revenue, or entering the city of Rome. In addition to these regular taxes, the Roman state can also demand tribute, especially from newly conquered territories or vassal states. These could be in the form of cash payments, provisions for the Roman army, or contributions of manpower for military service. It financed the Roman military, paying for soldier salaries, equipment, and the various costs of waging campaigns. It also funded social welfare programs such as the grain dole in Rome, which provided free or subsidized grain to the city's inhabitants. However, taxation also had its adverse effects. It could be a heavy burden, especially on the poor segments of society, and could exacerbate social and economic inequalities. The outsourcing of tax collection to publicani often led to abuse and corruption, with some tax collectors known for their extortionate methods. Furthermore, high tax rates could discourage trade and economic activity, and the resentment against heavy taxation could sometimes fuel social unrest and rebellion. Financial power. Financial power within the Roman Empire was not evenly distributed. This system of financial power was shaped by a range of factors and actors, from emperors and senators to merchants and peasants. Financial institutions and practices played a significant role in the Roman economy, and some still have their echoes in modern financial systems. For instance, the Roman banking system was surprisingly sophisticated for its time. Private banks, often run by equestrians or freedmen. The practice of money lending, or usury, was also widespread. Loans were typically provided by private individuals rather than banks, While there were laws regulating interest rates, these were often ignored or circumvented. Despite the risks and the social stigma often associated with usury, the Romans had a complex system of coinage with several different denominations of coins made from gold, silver, and bronze. The production and distribution of coinage were strictly controlled by the state, with mints located throughout the empire. However, the Roman economy was not immune to financial crisis. The devaluation of Roman currency, coupled with the increased production of coins, led to rampant inflation. This financial crisis contributed to a period of economic instability and decline, known as the Crisis of the 3rd century. They used this power to fund public works, military campaigns, and social welfare programs. The senatorial and equestrian orders made up of the wealthiest citizens also wielded substantial financial power. Their wealth allowed them to influence political and economic decisions, both at the local and empire-wide level. Soldiers too could accumulate wealth, particularly through the spoils of war and the generous donations granted by emperors. On the other hand, the vast majority of the population, including peasants, urban workers, and slaves, had limited access to financial resources. They often lived at or near subsistence level and were vulnerable to the fluctuations of the economy. Before we conclude, we have a question for you that will surely provoke thought. Given the complexities and challenges of the Roman economic structure and the unequal distribution of wealth and power, how do you think these factors influenced the eventual fall of the Roman Empire? Could an improved system of finance and taxation have changed the course of history? Please leave your comments below. We are eager to hear your insights and engage in a lively discussion. Thank you for taking the time to explore this fascinating era of history with us.